Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm Dr. Gursev Sandlis, and I'm back today with again a short talk on bedwetting. See, bedwetting in children is an extremely common problem. In fact, to the extent I would say that statistics tell us that about 50% of children till the age of 5 years will wet their bed on a near norm regular basis. However, it is something that should disappear as the child grows up, as the brain becomes more mature, and as the brain becomes more aware of its own condition and its own signal that the body is trying to give it as it grows older. To the extent that by the time the child is about 7 years of age, about 70% of them would have achieved the nighttime control, but still significantly about 30% of them will still be wetting their beds on a near regular basis. This number then reduces to about 10% by the time they are 10 years of age. So when do we start considering bedwetting as a problem? See, bedwetting has a very close relationship to the toilet training and the toilet schedule of the child. We have to understand that the daytime schedule is very closely linked to the nighttime schedule as well. So, if you have a child who has disciplined schedule and a regular potty or a toilet schedule during the daytime, he is less likely to be having these bedwetting issues beyond the age of 5 years. So, like I said, if you really wish to treat bedwetting, I think prevention is the best treatment. And to prevent something like bedwetting, it's very important to inculcate good toilet habits and regular toilet schedule in a child right from the time when we start doing the toilet training. Now, I've already spoken about the toilet training part of it in my constipation series, so you can go back and listen to that lecture and find out how you go about forming a good regular toilet schedule for your child. Then the question comes, why, despite having a toilet schedule, some kids will still wet their bed on a near regular basis? Now, first and foremost, I think before we begin the talk on bedwetting at all, I need to emphasize this in no uncertain terms to you, that no matter what happens, no matter at what age, please do not ridicule the child, please do not shout at him, please do not scold him, and definitely not shame him into believing that what he has done at night is something really very bad. It's a known fact that psychology plays a huge role when it comes to bedwetting in children. Yes, you should talk to them about it, but there is a way to talk about it. Be gentle in it. Even if he wets his bed, you get up in the morning and tell him, "Oh dear, you wet your bed. You should have told me. We would have woken you up at night." A gentle reminder is more important. The more you shame the child, the more you shout at him, the more you ridicule him, the less the chances of this habit going away on its own. So, psychology does play a big role when it comes to treatment of bedwetting. So, that's something we always look into. Then, what else should you look into? First of all, when should you start considering bedwetting to be a problem? I think till the time by 5 years you shouldn't really bother about it. Almost all kids do it, and as they will grow out of it. However, if between the age of 5 years to 7 years you find that his frequency of bedwetting has not reduced, that means he's still doing it on a regular basis, near daily episodes are occurring at night, then I think it's always good to start with at least the lifestyle changes. See, you come to a doctor to come to me after 7 years of age. Before 7 years of age, between 5 to 7, that is in those 2 years, I think you need to bring about a few lifestyle changes, a few habit changes, which I'm going to talk about now, and see if the frequency of his bedwetting reduces. If the frequency reduces, like suppose at the beginning of these changes you find that the child was wetting his bed daily, and within 3 months of initiating these changes you find that he's now wetting a bed maybe once a week or so, then it's more prudent that you just continue with these things. and slowly the child will grow out of this habit and won't really need any medication. See, remember, only 10% of kids with bedwetting truly need any kind of medication. Okay, and those are the ones which are resistant to most of these lifestyle and habit changes. So let's get into that. See, first thing that you look into is what is the pattern of fluid intake by the child. See, by the time they are 5 or 6 years of age, they would be going to a regular school, which will be a full half day school, say starting from 7 till about 1:30 in the afternoon. He will be carrying a water bottle with him. Have a look at it. Most likely he would not be having enough fluid intake in the school. Fact of matter, he probably won't be even eating too much in the school, but considering the fluid intake, most likely his water bottle will come back home near full with barely any intake. And then once he's home, once he's had his lunch, that's when his fluid intake will increase. Thirst is a subconscious trigger, and without even realizing, the child will just chug down water, especially after he comes back from playing or once he's gone down to play at about 5-6 in the evening. So what happens is, see, the body is going to make up for all the fluid that it has lost, right? So for an average 5-year-old, that's about 1 liter, 1.5 liters of fluid. Now imagine he takes in only about 200-250 ml from morning 7 o'clock to evening 4 o'clock. That's the bulk of his day. And then from 4 or 5 in the evening till 10 in the night, he takes in about 1 to 1.25 liters. Now, if he's going to have such a disproportionate intake of fluid, the chances of him getting a very strong urge to pass urine, especially when he has just gone off to sleep, are very high. So the first thing is to look into that and encourage the child to have enough fluid in the school. Make sure he empties his bottle. Suggest to him, you can do it in any way possible, that he should come home with an empty water bottle. If he's taken enough fluid in the daytime, in the first half of the day, his requirement for the second half would be proportionately lower. If the intake is less, obviously the output is going to be less as well. So less the chances of him having multiple urination episodes in the night. That's the first thing. Second thing that you look into is the fact that maybe your child is constipated. There is a definite link between constipation and bladder instability, which I've already spoken about during my constipation series. And this bladder instability can also stop the child from becoming dry in the beginning, which is what we call primary bedwetting, or he may have gained control and then he gets constipated and then starts wetting his bed, which is what we call secondary bedwetting. In fact, secondary bedwetting is a very strong symptom when it comes to diagnosing constipation in children. So that's the second thing you look at. The third thing is what we say, follow the rule of 2. He has to have his food 2 hours prior to going to bed. He has to empty his bladder at least twice between dinner, after dinner and going to sleep, with one of those evacuations happening just prior to sleeping. So child has to be put into that habit that he has to empty his bladder before going off to bed, and that will be the last activity. You can make it into a schedule where he will switch off the television or switch off his reading, go brush his teeth, pass urine, and then go to bed. Going to bed on an empty bladder is the second biggest factor in having a dry night overall. Now, if these two things don't work and you find that yes, the frequency has reduced but he's still wetting his bed, the third thing that you should begin at home is what we call a midnight wake up, which is the third part of his rule of 2. That is to be woken up 2 hours after he has gone to bed. Statistically, majority of the children will wet their bed somewhere between 2 hours to 4 hours after having fallen asleep, because this is the time when they slip in from the dreamy sleep into deep sleep, and in deep sleep the brain functioning is reduced, the control of bodily functions is minimal, and a lot of children will let go of their bladder at this point of time. So if you wake him up and make him empty his bladder, he is less likely to wet his bed over the course of the night afterwards. See, apart from these things, these physical factors, there are certain psychological factors which do play a part. Though I would say, in my experience of last 5 years of running a bedwetting clinic, psychological factors do play a role, but I think we are seeing much less of that. Maybe about 5% of the children who come to us truly have a psychological basis for bedwetting. So I think that's one thing that I wish to convince you people through this talk, that bedwetting is primarily a physical problem. It's primarily something to do with the lifestyle and the fluid intake of the child and his toilet habits. And secondly, yes, it may have a psychological basis, but it's not something that should come to your mind as the first thing, that if the child is wetting his bed, there's something psychologically wrong with him. No, that doesn't happen. Most of these children have physical issues which can be tackled very well at home if you begin by about say 5-6 years of age to inculcate these good nightly toilet habits in them, and you will find that by the time they reach 7 years, they are fully dry. Now, between 7 years to 10 years of age, please keep in mind the child may still occasionally wet his bed. Now that's not called bedwetting. Bedwetting would be 5 nights in a week if he's wetting his bed, every alternate day if he's wetting his bed. That means there is a regularity in the bedwetting happening. Now, once a month, once in couple of months, once in 3 months, or this may continue by the time they're 10 years of age, and in some kids it may even continue to 11 or 12 years of age. But this occasional wetting is still acceptable till about 12 years of age, maybe once in 3 months. But regular bedwetting, that is on a daily basis, on a at least thrice weekly basis or more, is a frequency we would be worried about after 7 years of age. And that's the time when you should seek help from people like me who are dealing with these bedwetting issues on a mass basis. So keep in mind, the key to bedwetting starts with the toilet training, which we already discussed. So if you train your child nicely with good toilet training, good regular potty schedules, and a healthy fluid intake throughout the day, you can take care of this bedwetting habit from developing altogether, or to disappear to such an extent where you do not need medical help. If there are any questions and comments, because bedwetting is a huge topic, if you do have any questions, any comments, do mention in the comments below, and I'll try to reach out to all of you to the best of my abilities. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.